Today on the WowFactor podcast, we have a very special guest. She is the co-founder of PichaEats, and her name is Swee Lin. Swee Lin, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
It's a pleasure having you here. How has been your week?
My week is great. I think everybody now, our team, my team, we are working from home, except for the production kitchen side. Business is a little bit slow. I think everybody is feeling the pain of the pandemic, the third lockdown that we are having now. But overall, everything is great. It's good lah. It's good. Yeah, nothing to complain about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, at least we know this pandemic will definitely come to an end at some point of time. It's not going to be here forever.
Of course.
Well, the audience would like to know more about you. So probably give us an introduction of who Swee Lin is.
Okay. Hi everyone again. My name is Swee Lin and I'm one of the co-founder of PichaEats. Well, my background is I grew up in Malacca, a small town in Malacca, and I've studied accounting finance in my degree year. And right after graduation, I worked for a bit in the finance side. And after that, I just started PichaEats together with my two other partners, Kim and Suzanne. So I've been running PichaEats for 5.5 years now. Mainly what I do in PichaEats is I run the operation side and also the product side in terms of creating new menu, coming up with new dishes, things like that. Yeah.
So I heard you've mentioned PichaEats. So can you tell us more about what PichaEats is and why did you found it?
Why is it?
Tell us more of what PichaEats is and why did you find it? What was your ideas behind founding it?
Yeah. So PichaEats, we have been running for about 5.5 years now. So what we do here in Picha is that we actually run a food delivery and catering business in KL, in Malaysia. And our chefs are actually refugee chefs from different countries such as Syria, Pakistan, Palestine, Iraq, Myanmar, and so on. So why we started PichaEats is at the first place is mainly is to help the chef that we have at that point. Backwards, about 8 years ago, me and my partners, we were actually volunteering in the Refugee Learning Center in KL, nearby our university. So we teach in the Refugee Learning Center for about 2 years. And in that 2 years, we teach them, basic maths, English, science. And one of my partners, she taught them music because she is a music graduate, a music background. So at that time, after 2 years, we actually saw many of our kids actually started to drop out of school to work for their, to basically earn an income or earn a living for their family. So, imagine a kid ranges from 10 to 15, they started to drop out of school just to earn a living for their family. And I think for us at that time, we know that we are quite privileged, to be honest. We grow up, we go to school, we have the chance to choose, whether to go to a public or a private school, and even in university we can actually choose what sort of course that we want, right? So at that time, on top of our head, we were like, these kids, they are just like 10, 15 years old and they should be in school. So we thought what we did is we went to visit their house, and then their home, we talked to their parents, how can we help them and things like that. And we know that at that time we wanted to build something that is more sustainable, because raising fund and all is great, but then it is not sustainable in the long run. So at that time we thought that it's always a joy to go to the chef house, because every time when we go into the house, there's always food on the table, although whether they had enough or not, but every single time when there's guests in their house, they will always serve us food. So at that time we ate, we visit them, we talk to their parents, and then at that time we were like, oh, why not we, get their mom to cook, and then we sell their food to our uni friends at that time. So I think that is the initial stage of how we started Picha, where all we want to do is, to see what skills they have. We sell, the mom, every mom can cook. So we sell the food to our uni friends, we get the revenue in, and then we give to their parents, and the money is used to put the kid back into school. So I think it's sort of a win-win situation. The parents can earn a living, a more sustainable living, and the kids can go back to school. The kids doesn't have to drop out of school to work for their family. So that's basically how PichaEats is born. It just started from a volunteering thing that we did back then, and then we saw there's a need, and then we thought, we must do something about it. That's how basically it started. So the name Picha until today is actually our first cook youngest son name. He is a boy. He's now probably about 9 years old. 9 years old. I think this year will be his 10 years old. I think 10 years. So we named the business after him as well, just to basically at that time we didn't know what to call him.
Interesting. I was wondering where the name Picha came from. At least now I know that Picha is a person.
He's a person. Yeah, he's a boy, young boy. Yeah.
Nice. So did you face any challenges when you were setting this up, and how did you manage to solve them?
I think, we have been running this for quite some time now. I think in every phase, there's always its own challenges. I would say that the challenges doesn't just stop in the beginning. Of course, in the beginning, we have our own challenges, like, not enough capital, not enough resources and things like that. But then I think in all, I think like, like in the beginning, there's the challenges of starting it up, and then you grow a bit, then you have to expand your team, then there's the challenges of hiring, and then you expand it again, or when we diverse our product. At first we started from lunch boxes, and then we went to catering, and then we now we actually had frozen meals. So I think in every phase there's always its own challenges, but I think what is important is to always communicate with the team. And I think to have the team together, it is very important for us to move forward, because I think PichaEats growth is not just me and my partner's contribution, but I think it's a whole team contribution to push and move forward this whole business.
At least we're seeing that the challenges you face are based on your different stages in the business. So I'm going to pull off a little bit and look towards the main focus of PichaEats, which is social entrepreneurship. To your perspective, how would you define effective social entrepreneurship?
That's a really good question. For me, I think my definition of a social entrepreneurship or effective social entrepreneurship is when it is sustainable, not just sustainable on the finances side, but sustainable for the people, the ecosystem that we are in, and it is a business at the end of the day. I think in Malaysia, for some people, it's not very clear yet because there's no clear governance and things like that. But I think ultimately, social enterprise, it is a business. So definitely it has to be profitable. It has to make money. But at the same time, I think the impact side, it is as equally as important as the revenue side. So I think it's a balance between two, definitely. I think this, if I were to go back to the initial question, like on the challenges part, I think the challenges in the initial stage is to balance both, which is really hard. Now it is easier because we have been doing this for quite some time, but to be able to balance both, it is quite difficult, I would say. But I think that should be the goal. Although it's hard, it's difficult, but that should be the goal on where we look forward, where it has to be sustainable in terms of the people, the impact, and also the profit side.
So to best put this into my own words, that social entrepreneurship is more having a good balance between social impact and profit motivation for a business.
Yeah. I would also want to add, like, sometimes I would think of it's not a half, it's not a 50-50%, but I would say that it's a both 100% and 100%, and it's supposed to be one. Yeah, if you can think it in a way.
Wow, that's 200%.
Yeah.
All right. So how would you, since you've said that it's not very clear in Malaysia what the social entrepreneurship is, so can you give like your overview of what it looks like in terms of the landscape for social entrepreneurship in Malaysia, and how do you think it should be improved?
Yeah, I think like how I would say that, if you want to compare, I mean, I don't think I'm the best person to talk about this, but I think for the audience, if you guys want to like read more about it and things like that, I think Magic does a very good job in promoting what is a social enterprise. So I think how we actually, even for Picha and my partners, how we actually get to know about this whole concept of social enterprise things and things like that is actually through Magic itself. So we went to a program, we went to a talk at first, and then we learned more about it and things like that. But I would say that what more that can be done is definitely a clear, like sort of like a clear structure or governance on things. So I think a lot of structure, let's say in terms of like accounting wise or tax and things like that, is a lot, whether you are a business or an NGO, right? But social enterprise is neither, right? It's a division or it's a thing on its own. So I think that is something that that definitely that needs to be improved. The government needs to see that social enterprise actually can solve problem and can solve and can actually reduce cost on the government side. I think this structure and governance needs to be more clear and more structured, and probably need a body on its own as well, which I think that it is what Magic, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% clear, but I think this is what Magic is working towards.
All right, so at least for the audience to get an understanding, Magic is, I think, an initiative set up by Malaysia to ensure that the entrepreneurship is well improved and well mentored. Am I correct with such a definition?
Yeah, I think the longer name is called Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Center. It's not just about social entrepreneurship, but I think overall at the startup scene, the entrepreneur enterprise scene and things like that. And they do have actually good programs that I'm not sure currently, but the pre-pandemic, they have really good programs that you can learn, you can experience.
All right. You were also part of the Magic program previously.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So how Picha actually started is actually because me and my partners, when we first started this, we were fresh grad, definitely. So we don't really have sort of like much experience per se. Like what we know is what we study in our degree. So we actually signed ourselves up to this accelerator program that is runs by Magic at that time. So we signed up and then we got in and then we went through the program for about 4 months. That's how we first started, actually. It's through Magic. That's why that's why I think I would say that, although, a lot of people would say that, there's no resources, like I don't know enough, I cannot start and things like that. To me, I think resources, everything, especially nowadays, like everything is around us, right? If you want to do something, you definitely can get it. You definitely can get it and learn it.
So is it safe to say that startups, it may be good for them to go through an accelerator program to help speed up their growth? What would be your take on that?
I think there's no right or wrong in whichever route that you go. I think whichever route that you go, yeah, there's no right or wrong. Like, but I think like definitely accelerated program, because the word accelerate, right? So it sort of accelerate you to, from point A, maybe the next point is B, but then it sort of accelerate you faster. So I think there's no right or wrong. It depends on what you want, what sort of pace that you want as well. But and what sort of commitment as well, because I think when we went through the first accelerated program, I actually quit my job because I know that I cannot do both, right? So if you want to get the most out of it, then yeah, we have to put full commitment also lah.
Wow, you quit your job. How was that experience? Because I know people will have it in the back of their mind. If I leave my job, how am I going to make money for the next month? So
Yeah.
how was that entire experience? Break it down for us.
Yeah, I think for me, like I would also say that now I'm 28. When we first started Picha, probably I'm 22 or 23. So I would say that that again, there's no right or wrong in when you want to start your first startup or your first enterprise. So, but I would say that at that age, like when I'm 23, 22, there's not much commitment that I have to put also. And I think me and my partners, we are also quite lucky enough that our parents are, I would say, quite independent, means they make enough to sort of live moderately and things like that. And I think for us also, we don't really need a lot to live. So I think at that time, like my thought process is that I'm still young. My parents my parents are quite cool, like chill on their own, and I just have to take care of myself, right? So and I don't need a lot to live. So at that time, I don't have commitment. That's the most important part. So I think my thought process is, yeah, I'm young, I should do what I want. Even if I fail, I can always restart again. What's the worst that can happen, and things like that. I think one thing that we always can ask ourselves is, like, because I know it's not easy to quit your job and stuff like that, but then I think to ask yourself, like, what's the worst that can happen? Then the answer usually is, I guess, actually nothing. Right? Like what because to me the worst that can happen is, okay, like I go back to my parents' house and stay with them for like few months before I restart again. Yeah.
Well, it's good to put yourself in the position of asking yourself, what's the worst that can happen? So this gets you thinking.
Yeah.
So while we're still at the entrepreneurship thing, do you think education is important, or people should just begin businesses right away, or they should begin going into the things that they're passionate about?
I think both is as equally as important. Again, there's no right or wrong in this. Yeah, but I think no matter which phase are you at, like there's no right or wrong, and I think just do what you feel like, what is right. Yeah, and do what you feel is right, and just go ahead. Yeah.
Alrighty. So for a social enterprise, what do you think are the good key ingredients for having a good social enterprise, or a good key ingredients for a good social entrepreneur?
I would say the team is definitely important. First is a team. Second is persistency in doing things. So I think a lot of times, I guess as human, when we do something, if we fail, we always just retreat and do something else. But I think persistency is definitely important in this. If you believe in the vision, if you believe in it, then goal. I mean, we should be persistent enough to want to achieve it. And lastly, I would say, have a lot of thick skin in asking things. So I think what Picha is good at, or I would say in the beginning, is that the three of us, we are quite thick face to ask for things, to knock on doors, ask for sales, call different companies and ask them, do you want catering, do you need meal boxes, do you need food? So I think yeah, these three things I would say is important. I mean, everything is important, but if I were to narrow it down, would be, the team have to be persistent enough and don't be shy, to ask for things.
Shyness can make you lose business.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times it's always in our head, right? Like when we want to ask something, we are, oh, okay, maybe, the person, no lah, she don't want our food. Oh, no lah, he got someone else. But the thing is, you don't know, right? Even if you know, you still ask. You still like ask, oh, okay, maybe we can be in your next, plan, next catering. Why not we give you food tasting? Then we call them again, like the next 3 months, or do you need food and things like that. So I think definitely is important. I think until today, it's still not easy. Like, I think it's a constant reminder. I wouldn't say it's easy also for us until today. Yeah.
Wow. So if we're looking at PichaEats in the next 3 to 5 years, what should we expect?
I think what should we expect? I think definitely more stronger in the F&B field, I would say. Yeah, I think Picha now is still quite young. Like, it is like a 5-year-old baby, right? It's still quite young. I probably just learned how to walk and things like that. I think in the next 5 years, what the audience can, or what people can expect from us is definitely on the business side. We want to be able to scale up business. Now we are actually running we created a new division called a ready to eat meal. Basically, it's a frozen pack or frozen meal that we are selling. So hopefully, I think this is a way to go, where it is definitely scalable, not just in KL, but all over Malaysia and possibly overseas and things like that. So I think for the next 3 to 5 years, definitely look out for us, I guess, in groceries or places like that we can expand, scale, grow onto. And definitely on the impact side, we want to be able to to expand more, to expand more on the Picha chef side also.
Oh, so we're going to see you in the groceries soon.
Yeah, soon. Fingers crossed.
I remember reading an article that was highlighting that there was some ventures that were accelerated by COVID-19. Could you highlight on some of them, that there's some ideas that you had on your plan, but because of the pandemic, you had to start them right away into action?
Yeah. I think there's one. So previously, the pre-pandemic, more than 50% of our sales is actually on catering side. So catering, where we serve, events, mainly events, board meetings and weddings and things like that. So definitely, definitely after or during things that we actually one of the things that we actually did is that we actually set up a new catering website where people can actually so if we are in the catering landscape, right? Catering usually are quite manual, in a way that if I want code, I call you and then you send back to me. If I need changes, I call you back, you send back to me. So what we did is we actually created a sort of like a automated catering website that we actually wanted to launch it. But then unfortunately we couldn't. So I think that would be the next thing that we'll be looking at. I think after maybe, when the catering comes back, maybe next year or mid next year, I think that will be something that we will launch, but maybe we will change, maybe things will still change because of the restrictions and things like that. But I think the catering side is definitely something that we put on hold because of the pandemic. Quite sad, but life still needs to go on.
All right. That's definitely the pandemic has put many of the plans on hold. It's hard to plan for more than even a month.
Yeah. Even for next week, sometimes it's hard because things can change, rules, regulations, a lot of things now.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. So for someone who would like to start a social enterprise, what would be your key tips that they can follow on how to start up an effective social enterprise?
Key tips. I would say that maybe the first is to find someone to start this with you. I think most of the time, I think it's okay to start alone, but the thing is when you're alone, it's not a right or wrong thing, but then I would say that if let's say if I were to study all over again, I would still study with my two other partners, because I think when you have partners with you, you can always bounce off ideas, you can sort of support each other. You don't feel great all the time, so I think when you feel the not so great time, your partners can encourage or whatever, and then it's vice versa, right? So I think that is definitely one thing I would say. And then maybe the second one would be, I think if you want to start something, I think to find out what is the real issue or the real need. I think most of the time when someone wants to start something, it's the problem is always in their head, like, oh, I think this is a problem, right? But I think the problem of that is that we are not solving the real issue of it. So I think the real issue that we need to find out is definitely when you need to go to the ground and then look at what is a real issue. Because sometimes I think when we try to solve something, we always think that, we always jump straight into a solution, but then you have to take like maybe 3 steps back and look at it again, what is a real issue, and then only come up with a solution. I think I've seen quite a lot of in boot camps and things like that, where people straight away jump into the solution, or people always just jump into what is a real problem. But sometimes because you are not on the ground, for example, let's say if you work with the natives, you think that, this is a problem, this is what they need, but actually it might not be what they need, right? So I think to do sort of enough research on market research on is this a problem, look at go to the ground, go to the community and ask them, is this a solution that you want, and things like that, so that you don't have to waste your time, and at the end you'll be like, oh no, this doesn't work, but actually the problem is not the real problem at the first place, or the solution is not what people want. That are 2 things I think.
Great. So at
and
least
I think third one probably just start.
Get the business out of your head and start.
Just start. Correct.
So just to wrap it up, that means you have to have at least, you have to be solid on the problem you're trying to solve rather than imagining it. And 2, you have to have a good support system. That means at least a good co-founder, at least one to help you to at least speed up the process. At least you easily can do things better when you're more than one. You can go far, but when you're together, you can go further. Yeah. That's a good heads up. So just imagine you were able to advise your 19-year-old self. What would be the best advice to give a 19-year-old you?
19-year-old me. I would say learn as much as you can. Because I think knowledge is something that's important. It's important, without knowledge or without the drive of learning, I think that is quite impossible for anyone to move forward, I think. So I think learn as much, maybe be braver to do, whatever that you think is right or wrong. And I think since that 19 is actually quite young, don't be afraid lah. Just do what you think is right. Learn as much things as you want or you can. Yeah, that's all I think.
So be brave and learn more.
Yeah, be brave, learn more, make as much friends. I think friends are important. Yeah, and don't think you're great because you're just 19. Yeah, I think which stage are you at, right? Like whether I'm at now 28 or whether I'm at 19 and whether I'm at my 19-year-old self. I think in every stage that we are at, we always think, oh yeah, we know a lot, we are great, we are smart, we have a degree, we have this and that. But I think no, I think be humble about it, and you definitely don't know something that you have to learn. Yeah.
Very, very true. So if we're looking to the future, how would you like to be remembered?
Probably just as someone who tried to make a change in the world, the ecosystem. Yes.
So a world changer in
World
summary.
changer. Yeah. Hopefully the term world change, because the term world changer seems very big. Hopefully it can be bigger.
Universe changer?
Universe. Possible.
Great. So as we wrap this up, what would be your final remarks?
Final remark. I think for those who let me think. I think for those who, let's say if want to start, their own social enterprise or their own enterprise or startup, first thing is just start. I think if you think that, this is a great idea, this is something that you want to do, you really believe in it, I think just start. That's one. Yeah, and while when you're starting, when you are in the journey, I think be persistent. Don't give up in what you believe in and things like that. I think throughout the journey you will have people telling you, oh, this won't work, no, like this is a stupid idea and things like that. But I think like as long as you believe in it, you think that this can work and this can change the world in whatever ways, I think continue believing in it and push forward. And don't be afraid to fail. I think failure is something that always scare people off. We always want to be safe, be at our comfort zone and things like that because we are afraid of failure. I think failure is something that I would say that it scares us, but at the same time we need to be able to embrace it, because failure is something that can change us as a person. Because without failure, I think we won't be able to learn or grow as much. So I think be very make failure as a friend, sort of. Fail as much, especially in the beginning stage or even the current stage, whatever stage, and learn from it, grow from it. And I think through that, I think it's good lah. And I think don't be too hard on yourself. When we fail, learn from it. Don't be too hard on yourself. We can always restart, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? We can always just start it again, restart, start from scratch, start from zero, learn something new. yeah, and life still goes on.
Wow, make failure your friend.
Yeah,
That has been my key highlight.
I think one thing that I've learned from, I remember one of our mentor actually said that the only thing that you cannot escape is death, or the only thing that you cannot change anymore is death. So anything other or outside than death, technically you can change it, right? So because you cannot undo that, but you can undo, or you can change, or yeah, you can basically change anything else. So what you waiting for?
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Swee Lin, for being on the WowFactor podcast. It's really been having an awesome chat with you. And I believe we have now at least a better understanding of social entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, it's a pleasure. So as I usually sign off for the audience, the world is out there. Let's go change it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.